It's top 10 time again, and today I'm going to do 1968. And there's so many good albums. I got like a list of almost 25 albums here from 1968 that I pretty well chose the ones that I still have vinyl on. And that's about 12 or 13 albums, but I'm going to do 10 and then give a couple of honorable mentions at the end. So I'm going to start off with, I'm not going to put these in any particular order. I'm going to start off with the Beatles double white album, of course. And overall, I would say this is my favorite album. And of course it's a gatefold and all that. It's a double album, and there's a poster in here. And next up, I got my favorite band of that time period, and still is the Jefferson Airplane and Crown of Creation. This is a great album. Every song is a good song, like most of the early Airplane, especially. There's only really one song by the Jefferson Airplane that I don't like, and that's on a later album. But I think cover art was starting to develop a little more too in '68. There's a lot of interesting covers on albums which before were basically fairly plain, but next up I got Boogie with Canned Heat. And that's kind of a neat psychedelic-y kind of cover for a blues band. Always liked the blues, and this is I think this is Boogie with Canned Heat. I believe this is their first album. I didn't check that out, but I'm pretty sure it is. Next up, I got another favorite. My favorite guitar player of the 60s is Michael Bloomfield. And this cover was done by Norman Rockwell, so it doesn't get much better than that. And this is a double album live. And it doesn't have much of a... I think they put all the money into the cover, because the back has got some pictures there, but nothing special. So the cover is where it's at. Norman Rockwell. Next up, I got another favorite. I have a lot of favorite groups from the 60s. Procol Harum and Shine On Brightly. And this cover is far superior than the English version of this album. I mean, this is one of my favorite. I had this album on the wall in a sort of a frame and everything because of the cover. And it's got a definitely kind of a psychedelic album cover. And it's a gatefold, and it's got a weird black and white picture in there. But Shine On Brightly, Procol Harum, their second album. Now this is Just Rotal's first album. This was, and the weird part about this is I found this in a sporting goods store in Kingston, Ontario. There was a few records in a little table right in the middle of the store, and there was records there, so where there's records, there's me. And this was just after this thing came out, and I think it was cut out pretty quickly because they were supposed to be the next super band, like, you know, super group, but it never quite happened that way. But I still love this album. This album's Beggar's Farm is on this album. That is a great song. So that's Just Rotal. This was first album. And one that's kind of a little different for me is Laura Nero. And this is, what is this thing called? It's Eli and the 13th Confession. And I've always liked Laura Nero. She's got a different style, and she's quirky, and she does some really amazing things, and her voice is just heavenly. I love Laura Nero, if I can say it properly. Next up, I got Moody Blues, and pretty well most of the Moody Blues albums up until number 7 and are all would be favorite albums. And they were at a lot of parties, the Moody Blues in the 60s, where everybody was laid back and having a nice time. And Moody Blues was the soundtrack for a lot of parties at that time. Next up, we got another great cover by Crumb. And I'll do a little thing on him sometime. I got a documentary and a book on Crumb. And he was definitely one of those cartoonists that came out in the late 60s and did all these sort of hippie covers, or hippie comics and stuff. But he wasn't really a hippie, though. And last but not least, we have Bookends by Simon and Garfunkel. Simon and Garfunkel. This is my favorite album by them, Bookends. It's got America on it, which is a great song. And that pretty well does it for 1968. Although I have a couple more here that I have on vinyl. I got We're Only in It for the Money by Frank Zappa and the Mothers, of course. And ooh, we got the major light coming off the window in front of me. And of course, the first real heavy rock album. Play it loud, 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 bass right in your face. Bass in your face, hey. Not bass, oh no, anyways. So this is Blue Cheer's album, first album. And what's it called? Vincibus Erupt, whatever. It's got a really strange name. Something to do with money or something, I'm not sure. Anyways, that's it for 1968. I mean, I could mention Hendrix had a great album that year, and so did the band, the first album, I listened to that, but I only have them on CD, so I wanted to do this basically with vinyl. So that's my top 10 for vinyl. So long.